And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome back as we continue to go through all the Marvel United stuff that's out there, the X-Men series of it. And today, we're taking a look at the Phoenix Five. Who are the Phoenix Five, you might ask, if you're not a big fan of the Marvel Universe? You have to be a pretty big fan. This was a short-lived series called Avengers vs. X-Men, and the X-Men all got the Phoenix, five of them, including Namor, who for some reason at that point in time was an X-Men. And they became kind of bad guys, benevolent dictators. Well, not so benevolent. Anyway, this is a series of bad guys you fight. It also includes one hero, the very popular Hope Summers, who is, you know what, I don't have time to explain 500 comics to you. So there's five bad guys, but they kind of function in a series. You're going to play through a series of bad guys if you get this box. So you're getting five bad guys, but when I rank them in my villain ranking, I'm ranking them kind of as one bad guy. I'll show you why. So this is essentially one kind of thing you can do with this box, and that's play the Phoenix Five. There's a way to play with the Phoenix Five as a separate thing, and I'll talk about that in a second. But you play against the Phoenix Five in a series of escalating battles. So the Phoenix Five, you have Emma Frost, you have Magic, you have Namor, you have Cyclops, and you have Colossus. All pretty cool models, especially Namor's. I really like this model. And in fact, I wouldn't mind using this model for the hero version of Namor. Anyway, I digress, but that's cool. Actually, Magic's model is pretty cool too. But again, these all need to be painted with Hope Summers here. We'll talk about Hope Summers first. She's a new hero. You don't have to use her when you're playing against these guys, but she has some pretty cool cards here to clear threat cards, which is a pretty big deal. Very few people have that. Discarding a card to just straight up clear a threat card. The first time you do it, you need to get rid of two cards to do it, but still, that's a very powerful, one of the most powerful action cards in the game. When you play with them, so a couple things. First, you have a training Hope mission. This replaces you fighting the thugs, and it's simply you have to play pairs at the same time. A fight and a move at the same time. You do that 3 times, and you've completed that mission. Now, when you play, you're going to play a series of games. You're going to pick one of them to play first. Let's say you pick Colossus first. You notice these boards are a little smaller. Colossus has special rules here. Not very much. Overflow. All these do is add master plan cards, and bam, until the next villain turn, ignore the first damage received in each hero's turn. Very generic. So you go ahead, you bring out Colossus, you bring out his threat cards. There's nothing actually special out of damage that they do, and him moving around and hitting people. There's not a, I mean, he's a pretty normal villain. So if you beat him, I probably should say when you beat him, then he's gone. Then you pick the next villain you want to fight. So let's say you want to play Namor. Then you put Namor on top of Colossus's board. He now has the BAM effect of Colossus. And then when you go to the third one, so let's say you use Emma Frost next, she now has 3 BAM. So if you make it to 5, you're going to have a ton of powers here. No longer generic. And as a side note, if you're like, hey, I just want to play with these guys as a normal, I don't want to play through a series of 5 games, they tell you to play at level 3. So you pick one and add 2 more underneath it. That's not the only thing that changes, though, because you have different threat cards. So Magic has some Limbo Demons and Limbo Prison and Demonic Interference. You're going to take some of them out, 1 per enemy you've already defeated, and replace it with a Phoenix threat card. These cards are horrific, the Phoenix Force card, because when you started them, there's going to be something negative, and the only way to get rid of them is through wilds. So if you're playing on hard, you don't even have that many wilds. So each game is going to get progressively more difficult. That's pretty much what this expansion adds. I don't even think I would count these. I mean, they're technically 5 different heroes, and if you add in the combinations, there's tons of them. But in reality, I can't see looking at them as anything but a group. There's some other rules, like if I want to use Colossus to fight against this guy, I can't. So I have to wait till I defeat him before I can even use Colossus. And you can switch people from battle to battle. Magic can take one of your people and disappear with them, and then you have to pick someone else for the next mode. But, I mean, in reality, other than that, it's kind of a normal game. Okay, so Phoenix 5 is kind of a small set if you think about it. It is just one villain, and we'll get back to that in a second, but I mean, it is one villain because you play the Phoenix 5, and then one hero, Hope Summers. So Hope Summers is a cool hero. I don't dislike the Phoenix 5, but it's kind of funny because it's really like 5 generic heroes put together. Yes, Magic is there. She's a little different. Emma Frost is a little different, although Emma Frost is another villain on her own. But Colossus is pretty generic. Cyclops is pretty generic. It's just that you're mixing and matching them. So if you play just one villain and by itself, you have 3. And I'll tell you what, 3 is pretty hard. Adding in those Phoenix, Force, Threat cards, they're really difficult to throw out wild tokens. And so you throw that in plus that, and they, if you're playing a one basic game, to get to 5, just as a heads up, I've never gotten there. I'm assuming it can be done. You'd have to work towards it. I like the Phoenix 5, but I don't know that I play them all the time because I don't always want to play 5 games. And if I'm just going to play a Phoenix 5 villain, why not play one of the other villains? They're a lot less setup, and they might have some really cool, unique thing. But there is that variety in them, and I still do like this. I think it's interesting. The theming behind it, where you can't use Colossus until you've beaten the Colossus in this game. You can switch characters from mission to mission. If Magic comes and grabs a person and takes them off, then you have to pick a different character to use that's not in the game. That's all, kind of interesting theming to people who know anything about the story behind it. And so I like that. And this is interesting. It's one of the last sets that I would get if I was on my own, but I still like it. There's still some cool things in it. So if you're looking for kind of a climb up a mountain type challenge, then this is one that you're going to like. Phoenix 5. I'm Tom Vasel, and this has been the Dice Tower. Dice Tower Judgment approved.